You know how some days stress is, well, it's a motivator, right? It pushes you to perform at your absolute best. But then other days, that same kind of stress just makes you want to crawl under a rock. What if that exact switch is at the very heart of addiction and relapse? Well, today, we're breaking down a fascinating neuropharmacology paper that decodes exactly how the brain's response to stress can flip from being a source of motivation to a trigger for despair.
So let's jump right in. We're going to start with what the researchers call the stress paradox. It's this thing we've all felt for sure, but the science behind it, wow, that's what's truly amazing.
And this is the central mystery, isn't it? One day, a tight deadline lights a fire under you, and you get it done. Another day, facing a similar pressure feels totally overwhelming. And look, this isn't just some psychological quirk. Nope, it's a neurochemical reality. And figuring out the switch that controls it is everything. Okay, so to solve this puzzle, we need to meet our two main characters inside the brain. On one side, you've got the reward system, which I'm sure you know is driven by that feel-good motivational chemical, dopamine. And on the other side, we have the stress system, run by a hormone called corticosterone. Just think of it as the rodent version of our cortisol. These two systems, they're in a constant, really delicate dance. So how in the world do scientists untangle this complicated dance? Well, a team of researchers at the University of South Dakota came up with this beautifully simple experiment to watch these two systems interact under very specific and very different conditions. Their goal was super clear and really powerful. Let's directly activate the stress system in two totally different brains, one that's healthy and drug-naive, and another that's going through amphetamine withdrawal, and just see what happens.
And here's the play-by-play in 3 simple steps. First, they set up the 2 groups of rats. You have your control group, and then the group that had been on amphetamines for a couple of weeks and was now in withdrawal. Second, they infused that stress hormone, corticosterone, right into the hippocampus. That's a part of the brain that's crucial for both stress and memory. And third, the big one, they measured exactly what happened to dopamine levels in the brain's reward center.
And now we get to the results. And let me tell you, what they found wasn't just interesting, it was a complete 180-degree reversal.
So, what do you think happened when that stress hormone hit the brain? Did it crank up the dopamine? Did it crush it? Well, the answer, as it turns out, depends entirely on the state of the brain to begin with. Just look at this. The results show this dramatic split. In the healthy control brains, that's the rising red line, the stress hormone caused a huge increase in dopamine. That's stress acting as a motivator. But now, look at the blue line, the brain's in withdrawal. In that case, the exact same hormone caused a significant decrease in dopamine. The switch was literally flipped. Let's just spell this out, because this is the absolute core of the whole study. In a healthy brain, stress boosts the reward system. But in a brain that's been rewired by chronic drug use, that very same stress signal actively shuts it down. It creates this awful state of dysphoria, or just feeling bad. And that, right there, is the neurochemical basis for relapse. So the big question is why? Why does this happen? What's the actual mechanism behind this incredible switch? Well, the researchers found the answer deep inside the brain cells, and it works kind of like a high-security lock. So first, you need to know about something called the mineralocorticoid receptor, or MR for short. Just think of this as the first keyhole. It's one of the places the stress hormone plugs into when it enters a cell. And here's the second piece of the puzzle, the glucocorticoid receptor, or GR. This is the other critical keyhole for that same stress hormone. And both of these receptors, MR and GR, are packed into the hippocampus. Now here's the cool part. The scientists discovered that to get that dopamine boost, you can't just activate one of these receptors. The system needs what they call cooperative activation. It's like a safety deposit box. You need 2 different keys, the MR key and the GR key, turned in the lock at the exact same time to get it to open. And this chart illustrates that 2-key theory brilliantly. When they gave the stress hormone all by itself, dopamine shot up. But check this out. If the scientists blocked the GR key, or if they blocked the MR key, guess what happened? Nothing. The dopamine level stayed totally flat. It proves you absolutely need both of those keys for the system to work. Okay, so let's put all the pieces together. We know what happens, and we know about the 2-key mechanism. So how does chronic drug use manage to break this incredibly fine-tuned system? So here's the model for how it's supposed to work in a healthy brain. When stress hits, one receptor, the MR, acts like a gas pedal, pushing for more dopamine.
At the same time, the other receptor, the GR, sends a signal to release the brakes. It suppresses the brain's natural inhibitory signals. So you've got gas on, brakes off, and the result? A surge of motivation.
But here is the devastating change. The study found that chronic amphetamine use actually damages the function of that second key, the GR receptor. It basically breaks the release the brakes signal. So now, when stress hits, the gas pedal might still be getting pushed, but the brakes are completely stuck on. The whole system fails, and dopamine just plummets.
I mean, the implications of this finding are just huge. It really forces us to look beyond the simple idea of craving and to focus on the underlying broken stress machinery in the brain itself.
And as the researchers themselves put it, the dysregulation of this system may contribute to relapse. It makes so much sense. When a person in recovery experiences stress, their brain, unlike a healthy one, responds by slamming the brakes on its own reward system. This creates an intensely negative feeling that can be an incredibly powerful driver to go back to using.
So let's just sum up the key takeaways here. First, stress isn't just good or bad for motivation. Its effect is totally determined by the current state of your brain. Second, this is all controlled by that delicate two-key lock system of MR and GR receptors. Third, and this is the big one, chronic drug use breaks one of those keys, the GR, which flips the entire stress response from motivating to depressing. And finally, this means future treatments might need to focus less on blocking cravings and a lot more on actually repairing the brain's fundamental response to stress.
And that really leaves us with a final and pretty profound question. Instead of just managing the symptoms of addiction, could we one day develop therapies that actually go in and repair this broken two-key system? Could fixing the way our brains handle stress be the real key to finally helping people overcome relapse for good?